Good morning. I had some notes. And then I deleted them. I figured I could speak from the heart. Notes won't do justice. Notes are too organized, and I can't be organized. I'm Binyah Kesselly, by the way, the baby, even though I'm 48. You know, as I was thinking about my mom, and you know, as you get older, you meet people who tell you about your mom, and you see your parents in action when you're a kid, and you're growing up, you're observing them. The kids are paying attention. You can tell them whatever you want to tell them, but they're paying attention. And my kids will tell you, I'm always apologizing. At least I try to. My takeaway is that, and I tell my son this a lot, and my daughter, that I'm never perfect, I'm vulnerable, I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm going to do things you don't like, but understand it comes from a place of love. And I apologize to them, and I do it because I want them to see that I'm not perfect, that I'm going to make mistakes, but it comes from a place of love. And so there are two things I think about when I think about my mom. Two things that keep coming up. And by the way, if I go over, give me like a 1 minute time. I have 1 minute left. But there are two things I think about, and those two things are selflessness and, one is selflessness, which is a word, and the other is a phrase, the solid rock of the family. So I'll say it again, selflessness, right? Which is what she is, and the solid rock of the family. Let me explain. I always remember as a kid, right, and many of you already know that my parents were politically involved. My dad was extremely politically active, and there was a huge burden and blowback that came with that. Whenever he was imprisoned for his beliefs, or whenever he was taken away for his beliefs, she was always there. It's almost as though Mom created this bubble around us. Even though as a kid I felt that stress from my dad being away, she always created that solid foundation, that solid rock for us. Not just for us, but also for other people around us. Family, friends. She was always there helping them, always being that selfless person, being that solid foundation when folks needed her. In fact, if I'm being honest, there were times she was too selfless. I'm like, Mom, you're giving to everybody. You give it a rest, right? But that was her. My mom it'd be raining outside, and she would see people with no umbrella. If she had one umbrella, she'd give it to them. That's the kind of person she was. And I gotta tell you, I'm not that person, if I'm being honest. I tried to be, but I'm not. But see, she was that thing to aspire to is where I'm going, right? She was always there, always willing to give, even if she didn't have it. She would go find it and give. That's the person she was. And so she was something to aspire to. Selfless of herself, loving, being that solid rock. Not to go down a rabbit hole, my family went through a lot of, let's just say, stuff because of my dad's political activity. But whenever we needed help, because of her selflessness, my mom would tap into her network. And because of her selflessness, people were always willing to help. I didn't realize that as a kid. As I started getting older and started having a family, it started to click. I started to connect those dots. And it's quite evident today, you all hear about the type of person she was. So that's really the takeaway for me. that solid rock that provided a bubble around the family and ensured we were safe in spite of all of the nonsense that was happening around us. Not just, I'm talking home, school, wherever. Because of my dad's political activity, there was a lot of blowback and a lot of burden, but she was literally a bubble that protected us. That's the first thing. And the second thing is her selflessness, always willing to give, even when she didn't have. And let's be honest, that's a hard thing for a lot of us to do. So that's my takeaway. We will miss her. And you know, it's interesting, because even now at 48, still a baby, whenever I have moments of doubt, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, or whether I go to a place and I'm a little reserved and I don't know how to respond, I always lean into what she showed us. That's where I find my strength, in what she showed us, in what our father showed us. And I'm fortunate to have parents like that. That whenever I have those moments of doubt, whenever I question myself, I lean into who they were to sustain me. So, thank you.
Varflay was the smart one in the family, so I wrote stuff down. I will quickly start with, you know, he said something about reasons why we are all not afraid to fail, and we're not afraid to hit rock bottom. It's because for us, that rock at the bottom was our mother. So that was a comfortable place to start and get back home. I once heard that behind all your stories is always your mother's story, because in hers is where yours begins. My mother often said that having 4 boys kept her closer to the Lord. Through her faith and example, she taught us what it means to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. When times were hard and when hope seemed distant, she reminded us that faith is not built in comfort, but in perseverance. Our mother could find the silver lining in every moment, no matter how difficult. I remember one cold winter weekend in Geneva, Switzerland, as was our routine, I met her after work to walk her home. When I entered the building, I could tell she was freezing because the heat had been turned off, because the Swiss do that to save money, I guess. When I mentioned it, she simply smiled and said, "It's not so bad." That was her way of facing discomfort and quiet strength and grace. What drove her was love for her boys, and commitment to our Father. She was determined to see that we were educated, raised into men that he would be proud of. Her selfless love meant taking UN assignments in dangerous locations, not for adventure, but so she could earn the extra hazard pay needed to support us. Our mother brought joy into every situation. She could turn the most ordinary moments into something special. Singing her calamine lotion song when we got the chicken pox. Remember that one? Or the Dirty Face song when it's time to take our bath. From my mother, I learned what unconditional love and sacrifice mean for a family. I learned resilience through our father's political struggles, and especially after his death, when she had to raise 4 boys as a widow. Her influence still shapes my life today. Her faith, her humor, her strength have guided my steps, even in choosing a life partner, because she showed me what true love, godliness, and devotion looks like. Mommy, though I will never hear your gentle reply, Bungie, when I playfully call you many of my names for you, Munanush, Mommy, Linnie K, what you say, Linnie K? I know that your voice will live in my heart. Take your rest now, my dearest, the first woman I ever loved. The one who made me the man I am today.
My people, hello. I will go serious soon, but let me speak to our people who don't follow the series too much. Thank you for coming in. Thank you very much. Binyah Kesselly, Barbara Ann, Mommy, Auntie Linnie, Grandma, Mrs. Kesselly, Mrs. K, we ever. So first I'll say, for those of you and those who are viewing online, the reason my brother Jallah is giving a reflection is he's giving a family tribute. So we didn't omit him. He shot now, so we didn't talk for the record, we didn't omit him. He shot, so we had to give the title of the tribute. But, you know, my brothers have said a lot about my mother, and you will see some of the manifestations of those in the tributes that will be paid, some by video and some through word. There are a few things that come to mind now, I guess, as the head of the family. I like to remind them I am this woman's first baby. I taught her motherhood. Whatever. I'm the shortest of all of you, that's true. But I am her first baby. So there's no way you can say anything to top that. I asked her one time, why you leave people after you have me? And she looked at me and said, that's exactly why I have more. Not exactly the words she said. Her comments were, there will come a time in your life when you will need a support group. And they will be the closest for you. So, with a lot of disappointment, I grudgingly accepted that I had these knuckleheads to call her. It's because of her. She put this stress on my life. You know? But this woman here, I'm going to sound a little off here for a second. There is no unity party without this woman. In 1984, when my father made the determination that he was going to found Unity Party, if this woman had said, hell no, ain't no Unity Party. He got offers to travel abroad and work. He turned them down because of his firm belief in the country, and she stood beside him. This woman from North Carolina, descendant of sharecroppers, humble beginnings, decided to follow some kind of man from Lufa into Liberia and take it and wear a Jallah her own. That's what a solid rock does. That's what a life partner does. There were times, I remember 1980, I happened to be 12 going on 13 at the time. When my father was taken to prison, soldiers came to the house. My mom went, got dressed, and said, I guess they came for me. And she said, oh, wait, my children. At the time, Mom Howard was still around. my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, and a few others. And they said, no, we got this. Turns out it was a fella who was a sergeant who used to work for her as a messenger at civil service, who she treated like her son. He brought a crew there to wait to see who would come to bother us. Again, her own network popping out, supporting us. There are a lot of other stories around that. 1985, once it became evident that my father wanted to be president, you have soldiers coming into the house, and me, I was a hothead. Well, I still am sort of, but I'm sort of modified it, thank God, as I've gotten older. But we would jump right into it. You enter the house, we take you down, whatever, we fight, all up going, whatever, you know. And mommy would come out and say, there's no reason to fight soldiers. And I'm like, well, mommy, they got no warrant. What are they doing here? And she goes, you come in with this American thing. And I'm like, this American war, what do you call it American? But again, I'm giving you the dexterity of her thinking, of her personality, and what she did, what she endured in order to make sure that her husband, whom she pledged her love to and her life to, she stood beside him, not behind him, beside him, to ensure that his ambitions were her ambitions, and those ambitions are reflected in who you see standing here. I want to say something else that Uncle Lawrence mentioned about mommy knowing how to delegate. We're in Geneva once, and mommy decides to buy this big cabinet. I kid you not. It's like two sides the width of this, two sides is the width of this piano. And the man goes, oh, Madame, we can deliver it for you, you know. And she goes, oh no, we will carry it. And so Varnii taps me on the shoulder and he goes, who's she calling we? So Uncle Lawrence, I'm glad you told him. She delegated it to we. And believe it or not, that woman, she was there trying to describe how to take this thing up the hill on the Grand Island. Mommy, you know something? Just go home, we'll bring it. But there's something that's more poignant that's for me. In 2018, when it was evident that dementia was stealing the joy of our mother's memory and her life, she delegated a very important responsibility to me, right? The responsibility of making sure that we honor her legacy. And I remember sitting in the lawyer's offices and reading a magazine, and she was in there with them, early 2018. And they called me and they go, Mr. Kesselly, we need you to come in. And I'm like, Mr. Kesselly. So your mother has something to tell you. I go, sure, shoot, what's up? She says, promise me that you and your brothers, upon my death, will take me to lay beside my husband. We will honor her wishes to the letter. We will take this lady who adopted Liberia as her home, a clear reflection of the effect that the diaspora has in Liberia. Someone who didn't believe in the country Congo nonsense that we like to perpetuate. Someone who didn't believe in people from over there and we over here. Someone who believed in real unity and who believed in bringing people together. You've heard stories from Saba, from Tito, and others about mommy bringing everybody together and being this collective, this mother for all. There are several people here who could more than attest to that, right? But this woman here gave me that responsibility, delegated it, and we'll carry that through. Before I take my seat, I need to acknowledge two people in this, well, a few people in this audience. Loretta, please stand. Terry, I want you to zoom that camera on this lady that's right here. In our language, in Pakabuni, in Mandigo, in Bama, whichever it is you want to call, we don't have a word for cousin. This is my first word, this is my sister, Loretta. Loretta, our sister, argued with me for not giving her charge of mommy's care. And so we placed mommy in her care for nearly 3 years. Because of Loretta's efforts, mommy lived a real round life. Loretta was so diligent that she was off her diabetes medication, she was off of her pressure, she was off of every medication. Her weight went down, she was stabilized. Loretta did. But it was Loretta, where Manaka? My niece, Manaka, there. This little girl, she's not a little girl, she's on a college, sorry. But y'all wasn't, right? This young lady, right, They took on mommy's care 24/7 for the last 3 years. There's no one to even tell them thank you. You may be seated. What? Jallah, Jallah, where are you?
All the way to the back.
Jallah back there somewhere. She's vertically challenged, so you won't see her, but she's back there. Jallah runs her own agency, but she was the one who called me because Loretta couldn't to tell me about mom's passing. But Jallah adopted mommy as her mom. She's the next door neighbor to Loretta. And she stood beside Loretta. I mean, there's several other people here. I'm going to make mistakes and not call their names, but you know, these are people that became our mother's guardian angels. So I just want to say in front of this audience, in front of those who are watching, thank you, Loretta. Thank you, Vanetta, Monaca. Thank you, Jallah. Thank you to the others who put their arms around Loretta and helped her to give our mother the baby that she deserves. In closing, I want to say this. I am not okay. I'm not. But God said no to it. I'll leave it there. Love you all.